All right, everybody. Let me just check to see if we are actually live right now before we get into this. I believe we are. Yes, it says we are live. All right. So everything is working. Welcome. Welcome to the 13 people watching. Thank you. Hello, Tony. All right, let's do this. All right, cool. My name is Nate, lawyer turned YouTuber, and today we talk about the COPPA apocalypse. It's like coming down. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. So I'm here with my boy, Uncivil Law, aka Blackleaf. He's going to be coming in pretty soon. So today we're going to be talking about COPPA. Now, we'll answer questions, but first I got to give you a disclaimer, like I give everyone. This is not legal advice. We're going to be talking shit. If you need legal advice, you should not come to this video seeking that advice. You need to be going to an attorney that's licensed in this area and that knows your particular facts and apply laws to your particular facts. But we will be answering questions, and we're just going to be talking about COPPA in general. Now, it's interesting because there are some things we agree with, there's some things we disagree with, but I think it's going to be a fulfilling conversation. It's funny because when you're looking through this YouTube stuff, like to all these YouTube attorneys who are doing this stuff about COPPA, it's just interesting to see there's so many different ideas. And if we who are trained professionals have all these issues, just imagine you as creators. It just must be crazy. It's like somebody throws this new law and says you have to follow it, and you can see there's so much ambiguity. So let me bring in my boy. You know him, Blackleaf, Uncivil Law. Boom, baby.
Boom, baby. Boom!
We are here.
Yeah.
What's going on,
happy
man?
to be here with you guys. Always happy to be with my good friend Nate and here to rock out the law. Oh, yeah, baby.
Yo, don't forget, really quick, description to his channels in the description. That's a description to your channel. Link to his channels in the description. Click on that bad boy. Hit the subscribe button. He does some great stuff. And now we are about to make it happen. So today we talk about COPPA. So I'm going to throw it to Blackleaf. Blackleaf, what is the COPPA?
Oh, what is the COPPA? Well, it is the Child Online Privacy Protection Act.
Protect the children.
Passed by Congress ostensibly to protect those who are under the age of 13 from inadvertently giving out information that could identify them, such as names, addresses, locations, and other information that could potentially harm them. And so that was the goal Congress was trying to create. And of course, Congress, when they created this wonderful thing, didn't have YouTube in mind for the least of reasons. YouTube did not yet exist.
Yes. So let's go back to 1998.
Yes. There was no YouTube.
There was no YouTube. I'm talking about the internet was a whole different joint. Like before it was just chat rooms. You remember back in the day when you had
I had bulletin board accounts. I had a FidoNet email address. Old school BBS stuff. I used Usenet. You remember Usenet?
I don't remember Usenet. I was like on, it's funny. I learned computer programming. I was on Pascal, but Usenet, I've never known. Wow.
Yeah, that was bulletin boards. Bulletin board systems where people could post text message.
Yes.
This is how people conversed like before instant messenger and stuff. It was persistent, continuing messages on all kinds of things, and it was great.
Oh my God. It was a totally different world. There was no photos. It was all text. But come to find out, back in 1998, the Congress and people were concerned that on one side, you'd have a pedophile or someone who wanted to do harm to children. And they'll be on the, internet trying to, chat up the child. And the child would give up their information. They would give up their name, their address. So Congress said, well, we don't want that to happen. Because to be honest with you, number one, I think it was poorly understood because no 6-year-old, most 6-year-olds can't even spell their names, or 5-year-olds can't spell their names. So they're not getting on computers typing in their names and addresses. If I ask my 4-year-old what's their address, you're going to look at me like, what's an address? You know what I mean? But they wanted to protect them. So they said, we're going to pass this law that if you have any content, if your content is directed at children, you can't ask them those questions. Is that fair?
Yep.
I thought it was good. I thought it was a good law at the time. I was like, all right, cool. Don't ask children. We want to protect the kids.
No, there's a lot of good merits to it. It's like we want to protect people who, and put some onus on the creators because they're running these sites and nefarious individuals might be on those same sites. And so we want to put some onus on them to prevent them from collecting information that could be harmful to these people who have no means to protect themselves.
That's true. And which is altruistic, but as it comes, that was what the law was meant to be. But now this is what it is now. So obviously
Google didn't exist. The iPhone didn't exist.
No,
I think in '98 there was Alta Vista was the biggest search engine probably in '98.
Remember, you had to pick up the actual phone and line.
Yeah.
There was no walking around.
When websites didn't necessarily start with HTTP because there were still other protocols. That's how old school we're talking about.
Wow, I didn't even realize. Then 98 was they were still afraid of Y2K, right? Y2K back then. I was Y2K time. So we had that's 1990. So was it 15 years later in 2013? I know it's 2013. It was 15 years or whatever later. 20? Oh no, oh wow. Well, 20 years later, I'll give it 20. My math is wrong. We're lawyers. I don't do math except when it comes to the cash. That's when I pull up the calculator. But anyway, so 2013. Now we live in a different world, right? Yes. You don't have to ask someone for their name, right? Google. Think about this. And I was going to ask you about this earlier. Think about this. Right now, they said when you take your phone outside, that has all my medical data on it for my watch. It tells you my heart rate. I'm a fat man that needs to do more. It get all this information on my phone is there. My name, everything. If you took my phone and was able to crack it, you get so much of it. You get my sexual habits. It's all on the phone. It just is. But in 2013, they were like, well, hold on. If you can get all this information without even asking a person, then we need to protect children's information from people who want to collect it from through cookies and these web identifiers. So that's why COPPA was updated to stop that practice. Okay, so it's now that you don't have to ask the kids, where before you had to ask them and they had to give it to you. Here, now that you don't have to ask them, now you are prohibited from even collecting the data. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So 2013. Now you can't collect data through websites and cookies and all this other stuff. So that's where we're at now. That's the world we're living at now. So now, and even in 2013, it was a different place because you didn't have this targeted advertising and things of that nature, right? It was different even back then. Yeah. So now targeted advertising blows up, right? And that's where all the money's made. Now, instead of when you watch a football commercial, if I don't like beer, I don't have to continue watching beer commercials because they would send me targeted ads. And it's funny, even doing research for this, I went on Google's. If you go to Google, and if you go to the terms of service and you go into Google's privacy terms of service, you can actually look at what ads they have targeted for you. Crazy stuff.
I'll look that up later off stream.
They got for me Sprint PCS. They got for me NFL. They're pretty good. They have me as blackmail. It's really things that I like and things that I've been searching for. And it does have some things my kids are searching for, like My Little Pony and all that stuff. I'm like, oh, okay.
You could be a brony.
Yes, cool. That's true. So it's interesting. So that's the world we live in. But now, let's just be clear. When it comes to Google, the data is more valuable than the cash, right? Data is
by far.
Data is king. And
that's Facebook's business model too. It's all about data. That's the whole Cambridge Analytica in the last election too. It's all about the data, who's looking at stuff, how we can hyper target them, how we can target as Facebook in particular is really good about that on their advertising because you can run ads very targeted, especially exactly who you're looking for, by country or by state or by city, zip code. You can target particular levels of education, particular interests. You can get really, really narrow advertisements if you're an advertiser that's trying to get a really hyper targeted market. So It's really, really efficient these days to be able to target someone very specifically if you're looking for that.
But isn't that scary though? It scares me. It's I don't remember if you 1984 type stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I read the book many, many times. It's one of my favorite books growing up.
But that's the world we're actually living in. We're living in a world where, the geolocation. They know where I go, what I like to spend my money on. I'm talking about it's all there for someone to feed me this information to make me want to spontaneously buy stuff. So even now, Black Friday, and it's funny because I could swear my phone is listening to what I'm saying because I was like, I think I might need a new computer, and I swear all these computer ads are starting to come up. New computer, new computer, new computer. I'm like, is the mic on? Like, are people listening to me?
I think Facebook actually got busted for that at one point. Like they were listening even when they're not supposed to and stuff like that. So there's definitely been those kind of accusations before.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because now I'm seeing all these computer ads, which are good. I'm thinking I've seen some good stuff too. So, thank you for the targeted advertisements. But it it just is what it is, like, oh my God. So, my camera's acting up again. So that's the world we're in now. We're in post 2013.
Yeah.
COPPA now. So now this is where we get to the law. Let me screen share this. So this is where we get to screen share. I'm getting too old. All right, so now I'll take us to 16 CFR 312.2. Now, if we
where the magic happens.
This is where the magic happens. Now, so I don't bore you guys with the reading. Let me see. Wait, Uncivil Law, the same guy who often co-holds Lawful Masters. Yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
Barney's got it. Let me throw it up there.
I get around. I'm trying to meet many lawyers. I'm trying to spread my empire. I'm to take over all the legal channels. So this is just one step of many along the road.
And you guys can see this targeted advertisement toward me, the $16.99 a month. They want me to change my cable connections now. All right.
Your bit connection. That's not bad, man.
This is New York. At least we have choices here in New York.
Yeah.
So here it's interesting. Here, so they talk about what you're not able to do, collect these. But now the issue here is that who is this law supposed to stop? Is it supposed to stop the website or the operator of the website, or is it supposed to stop us? And how does it apply to content creators? And so this was some confusion. Now, reading the law, it's funny because I had the same question that you had. Like, how does this apply to content creators? And thinking about it, I like my take on it was that it does, but it was for a little different reason. But then I listened to your video where you said it didn't, and I was like, you know what? That actually does make sense too. So now I'm like, I'm not even sure. So tell me, so explain to us, like, why you don't believe that COPPA applies to content creators in the same way in reading the law. Obviously, now just before we get to that, obviously the FTC is saying what it's going to say, and I'd rather just put the caveat. Listen, FTC said they're going to conduct sweeps and fine people, content creators. So just be aware of that. But what's the reasoning that you don't believe it applies to content creators?
Yeah, well, if we can go back to that 312.2 section.
Hold on, bring it up right now.
The acts that were prohibited. Put that back on screen, if you please.
It will be right now.
I will show you my reasoning.
Go ahead. All right.
So you can see right here where it talks about a website or online service shall be deemed directly to children. And then it talks about operator. So could you
let me go to operator section. Yeah, I'll do that.
Like, for example, here, disclosure means right there. So it talks about release of personal information collected by an operator. And then in the next definition down, it says making personal information collected by an operator.
Okay.
So it's like, who is this being targeted at? You can see it's this keyword operator that keeps popping up right in these various definitions.
So let me type
like who are operators is to me the first question to start with. So if you'd be so kind as to
click on the word operator.
Of child and operator. Yeah. So then here's the definition. It says, and this is like where you and I do our wonderful statutory or rule-based interpretation, right? So it says operator means any person who operates a website located on the internet or an online service. Now, what was interesting initially about this is if you go read FTC settlement with YouTube, it talks about the service is YouTube service. So that's one of the definitions in the settlement section, as it talks about the YouTube service. So at least as far as that settlement was concerned, the online service is the YouTube service. So like, first of all, it's like, I can't be a person who operates the YouTube service because I'm not YouTube is my argument, right? And it's like the same thing. It's like, I don't operate youtube.com. if I did operate YouTube.com, YouTube and I need to have a much different discussion, right? It's like, because they have the terms of service. They're the ones that write the terms of service. They're the ones that say, for example, that they can delete channels because they're not profitable or commercially successful or whatever their language is. They can delete channels because it's Tuesday and they're bored. They can delete channels for all kinds of things, right? So they have all these terms and service. They're the ones that are operating the website. They're the ones that are operating the service. So, like, first of all, it's like, well, am I an operator? Well, I don't think I am, because I don't think I'm a person who operates the website or an online service. And so, like, basically, as far as I'm concerned, I can kind of stop reading there, because then it goes on to talk about and who does a whole bunch of stuff. But if I fail the first part of the definition, I don't have to keep reading.
So now, just quick super chat. I don't know what. I hope that's $100 in. I don't know, some serious cash. I don't know, but it's 100 HRK. I don't know where that's from. Can I click on it to find out? No, it doesn't. Barney, you got to tell me where you're at. But it says mad props and respects. Love the direction the channel is heading. Thank you, bro. Thank you so much, Barney Tinsel. And you figure out the definition of the word.
Apparently, it's Croatian.
Croatian. All right. I hope it's in like 5 cents Croatian. You got me with the 5 cents.
Apparently, it's 1 to 6.7. So divide by 7. So that's like.
Thank you so much, Barney.
I guess, or something like that.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate every penny, brother. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Now,
keep supporting Nate Brody. He's an awesome guy.
Thanks. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. So check it out. Now, I read this, and it shows you again how two people can read the same thing and come to different conclusions. Because I read it and I said operator means any person who operates a website located on the internet or service. Now, I do agree. I don't operate YouTube, but I operate a part of. For instance, I used to have this website in which the website was run by, let's say, this like GoDaddy.com. I'm using GoDaddy as an example. So you build a website and they host it for you. So you put it up on their stuff, and and you only get like one page, and then you can put pictures up or whatever and do with that page. But the site is actually their site. It's just you're just hosting a page on that particular site. So I would say I'm an operator of my site, and I'm just thinking about even with YouTube too. I operate my channel, so I am operating that part of the website, even though I'm not operating the overall YouTube. But there's a part of YouTube. I'm using YouTube as a platform. So that piece of it, the front-facing piece, the piece that people see. When I put a video up, I'm operating. I upload the video. I tell them whether to put ads on it. Like, I'm operating that part of the site. So when I see operator, that's what I'm thinking about, because I am operating the site. I'm not collecting the data, but I am operating the site. Does that make sense?
No, I totally buy what you're saying, and I think we can look at like varying levels of control, because it's like really hard for anyone to be like in total control of anything. Like, even, well, maybe not YouTube, but they're probably like, even YouTube is probably bound by terms of service for various places that they're dumping their data or hosting their data. Or, if I operate a website in the strictest sense, there's a domain register and there's like whoever is hosting my content, so they have some rights, even, they still have terms of service and presumably could interfere with that. But like, so it's an issue of like the amount of control. It's like, so, some of the cases you pointed to from the prior situations were people who were uploading apps to like the Google Play Store. And in that situation, the Google Play Store is just a platform for people to dump apps. Google Play could presumably choose not to host the apps or not, based on their own terms of service. But like, even then, it's like you have a lot more control. But it's like, for me on YouTube, do I qualify as an operator? Now, you point out some ideas that could go the other way, right? I upload the content. I decide whether or not to enable comments. I decide whether or not to enable ads. I decide what kind of ads to some degree to do. But it's like, even then, it's like YouTube has so much more control, because they can supersede me, and they have much more control to like take down content, restrict content. And I think that would apply in the domain hosting situation. So if I were running uncivillaw.com, my amount of control would be so much greater than here. So it's like, to put like the next level above, like suppose you post a comment on YouTube on my channel, and then someone posts a reply to you. Are you now like an operator because you like delete your original comment or maybe delete that subordinate comment to your comment, because you have control over like what's posted to you. It's like because you posted a comment, or it's like
because you could delete your comment
too. It's like, I post a comment on a bulletin board, or I start a thread on a bulletin board. It's like, are people commenting like every time, or Reddit, like every time someone posts and they can delete their comments, stuff like that? Does that make them an operator of that portion of Reddit just because they're posting comments and can like have that level of control? Or are the moderators and like the operators, because they call themselves operators, are they really in control? And because so it's like, I don't think there's enough control to be an operator.
I don't know. See, it's like because even if we go to the app situation where let's say, for instance, like I was saying, I feel like I find the two situations to be analogous, because if we treat as a video as a creator, I upload a video to YouTube and do all my stuff, and let's say if none of us uploaded any videos to YouTube, there wouldn't there wouldn't be any content, there would be nothing. So we are I think we have a lot of control in terms of the content itself. Now, YouTube can remove content and even can chop it up or whatever, do whatever. They have the ultimate control because it's their platform. But we are the ones who have that ability to, I give them a video, I give them a file, and they present that file to the masses, and I hope as many people see it. And the same thing with apps, the apps that we're going to be seeing soon were free. People were able to, I'm giving it to Google for free. You don't have to pay for it. It's free apps. And the only way those people on the apps make money are the same exact way we make money on YouTube. Google takes that app, puts ads on it, and those targeted ads get those people money. And the same thing for us, those targeted ads on our videos. So in other words, we're both giving them files of information, and they're both giving it to masses and putting ads on them to give us revenue. So in one case, though, for the apps, the FTC is calling them operators, and then the FTC is saying the same thing about content creators in the same analogous way. They're the process is the same, but we just call them different things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no. So I think it gets exactly into like this legal line drawing question of like ultimately like what would a court decide in terms of this, and like so we lay out the factual background of like, well, here's some stuff on one end of the spectrum where these are clearly operators, and here's something on the other end of the spectrum. It's like, so where's the content creator on YouTube specifically?
Yeah.
Fall into this to be whether or not they're within the letter or intent or whatever judicial interpretation mechanism we're interpreting today, text, intent, history, process, all the rest of it. So it's like, how should we parse that? But if we can go, so I see your point. So like on the first half of the definition, I think that you have a reasonable point. It's like you could make the counter argument. But if you could go back to the definition, we can argue about the second half too.
Hold on. Yeah, let's move forward. Hold on. Sorry. Let me put this back up. Doop. All right.
So let's go to the like and part. All right. So like then talks about and collects or maintains personal information from or about users or on whose such behalf such information is maintained. So it's like, okay, well, I'm certainly not maintaining personal information because I don't do it. And I don't know that I'm collecting it either, because like, the closest I come is the comments, and short of someone like leaving their address or something in a comment, I'm not collecting. I think I have a better than reasonable claim that I'm not collecting or maintaining personal information, particularly is how that term personal information is defined, because that has a definition too, where it goes in the statute and says it means address, name, location. It has some stuff there. It's like I'm not collecting or maintaining personal information. So like, even if I'm an operator, I don't think I qualify in the second half of the statute.
Yeah, I agree 200%. I don't think.
And the other thing that makes it like another thing that makes it like additionally for me is that to leave a comment or to leave a like or to interact with my channel at all, to the best of my knowledge, and I mean that literally, to the best of my knowledge, you have to have a YouTube account. To have a YouTube account, you have to be over the age of 13. So you can't leave a comment unless you have an account, which means you're over the age of 13. You can't leave a like unless you have an account, which means you're over the age of 13. You can't subscribe unless you have an account, which means you're over the age of 13. Now, sure, like a child could lie, but as far as actual knowledge, which the statute requires me to have actual knowledge that a child is doing this, how can I possibly have actual knowledge that a child is leaving me any information when to do that, they have to have an account and they have to be 13 according to YouTube's own terms of service. So it's like, well, that's where another part where this breaks down for me.
Well, let me go to the second point first to this, because it does say this or collected on your behalf. So yeah. So you're right. We don't collect it. I want to make it very clear.
On my behalf, then presumably, if it's like if you are my agent, right, you're collecting things for me, then you have an obligation, if I ask, to turn it over to me because you're collecting it for me, right? If I say, Nate, please go forth in the world and do this, and you collect stuff for me, and I say, Nate, give me the stuff, you kind of have to. So, like, if it's being collected on my behalf, then presumably I can go to YouTube and say, hey, YouTube, give me the information of all this metadata and stuff that you're collecting on the background because you were maintaining it for me, right? So it means it's mine. So give me all the data. I don't see YouTube doing that.
Well, the argument is that, like, I actually went to Google's terms of service and it was hard to find. It was extremely hard to find, but it's there. And it's actually, if you go to Google, because you have YouTube terms of service, which if you look at YouTube terms of service, it says you got to look at Google terms of service. So that I click the link to Google terms of service. Then you got to click on the Google terms of service. You got to look and you see, all right, then I'm like, all right, I can't find it. And I say, all right, let me just look for cookies. Then you got to look at the definitions. Then you look at cookies. And then when you get all the way to cookies, then you get to the point where it says, yes, by accepting your YouTube channel and stuff, you're accepting that you're understanding that they're going to collect this data, right? They're going to collect this data. And then they tell you why they collect the data for targeted ads, for this, for that, for this, for that. So we are, by accepting the terms of service, we are saying, okay, we're acknowledging that they're collecting it. And this is why I think the FTC didn't go after content creators first.
Well, they can collect it from me and they can collect it from other people, but that doesn't mean that it's collected on my behalf.
Well, this is why I think the FTC didn't go after content creators first. They went after YouTube first, because right now, at this point, you're right. We could have claimed ignorance. Hey, we didn't know this data was even being collected. You know, it was buried in the terms of service. No one knew, right? No one, like, if they came to you, like, who knew? And you can march millions of YouTube creators up there, and each one will say, we did not know this data was being collected. So ignorance, I think, could have been pleaded in that part. But now, because YouTube is directly making everybody, asking people, is your content child directed? They've removed that ignorance to say, instead of saying we're collecting data on your behalf, they're just saying that now, what in the new terms of service, they're saying, now you know we collect data, now you know we're collecting for targeted ads, and now you know if you're child directed, it's against the law to do it. And with those facts, I think that now puts the liability on us now to say, okay, well, if this content is child directed, and we know that YouTube is collecting data on it by saying yes, by saying it is cut, but saying it's not child directed, then now the liabilities, now there's no excuse that I can say I didn't know that this was happening. You know what I mean? And that's what happened in those other two cases, where Google said, yes, we are collecting data.
I'm part of the way with you. I think, like, first of all, like, based on just the statements of the FTC and YouTube, I still think there's like a couple steps of logical deductive reasoning to get you from what they're telling you to what you're saying. And I'm following you along the way. But like, for the average person, I don't know necessarily that they have actual knowledge. I think they have actual knowledge that, like, YouTube is collecting some kind of data, and they have actual knowledge that YouTube is requiring them to mark data. But, like, they have actual knowledge that YouTube is collecting data from children, or, like,
if that
from children. It's like, I don't know.
The actual knowledge requirement isn't for the collection of the data. The actual knowledge is for the content itself. The way it works is that, and if you just to in the rule, which is weird, but and this goes to this operator portion too, because here it says operator, and even in the complaints it says operator. But if you go down, there's a part that talks about just as a website and having actual knowledge. Now, before it was like the operator of a website, but here it says a website or online service shall be deemed directed at children when it has actual knowledge. So the wording here changed, because now we're not talking about operators of a website, we're talking about the actual website. So here, and in the press conference, the FTC, when they talked about YouTube, they only use the word website. It didn't say website operator. It said the website, and YouTube as a website or online service. So they specifically are using this terminology, website or online service, to talk about YouTube, and saying that YouTube itself had to have actual knowledge. And that makes sense because YouTube gets like 200 hours of video content uploaded every minute. So there's no way they can be able to sift through all that content and determine whether it's child directed. So to protect them as a platform, it's the government says, okay, they have to actually know exactly that this content is child directed. But for us as content creators, there is no actual knowledge requirement. They're saying your content, and if you upload content that's child directed, I don't have to prove you had actual knowledge because you created it, so it's your content. So that's where the actual knowledge requirement comes in.
Yeah, I think like you have incorporations of definition issues too, because like when it talks about website or online service, it's like, is that like a definition unto itself, or is it clarifying definitions from above? So like, can I read operator into this, even though it doesn't say operator here? Because I'm like trying to like parse out like what this is actually trying to define. And it talks about in section actual knowledge directly from users of another website or online service. Well, from my frame of view as a content creator or whatever I am, what is the other website or online service? YouTube itself?
Acknowledge personal data from user of another website or online service. I'm not even sure.
Yeah, because if I'm a website or online service,
well, hold on. We can just click on it.
Website or online service, I shall be doing directly to children.
Website or online service directed to children means a commercial website or online service that is targeted to children.
That doesn't help me. Yeah, so if I'm a website or online service, then I'm directed to children when I have actual knowledge that I am collecting personal information from users of another website or online service.
Has actual
directly from an online service, then I'm only guilty if I have actual knowledge I'm collecting information from users of another website or online service. What is the other online service in this context?
I don't know. And the definition, I don't think it's
like they're only interacting with me, right? They're leaving comments on my page.
Yeah.
So like if I'm the service, they're not collecting it from another service. So like that definition doesn't seem to apply to me either.
The website or online service shall be deemed child. Yeah, I'm not. This is very poorly written. When you have actual knowledge that it's collecting personal information directly from users. Okay, so website I'm collecting from users of another online service directed at children. I don't know that. It's very blah blah blah. But I just want to be very clear. The FTC from both the cases and from because I actually went back and looked at the press conference, they consider YouTube in this context to be the website that has to have actual knowledge that the content is child directed, and they consider content creators to be operators. So that's clear from the press conference and even this wording. But I do agree there is litigation here that could happen because it is very
well. The FTC can say a lot of shit. Doesn't mean it's true, right?
Oh yeah, no, I agree. And you know what? That's the problem with administrative law because all right, for those of you who don't know administrative law, there's the way it works is that you have it has the force of law, but you have a committee. And this committee promulgates these rules that are affecting us now. So they'll sit back and they promulgate these rules. And they'll put it through notice and comment period. And that's the thing where you'll see we'll have to go and we can comment and say, hey, this rule is bad, this rule is good. And they'll promulgate it. But the people who interpret what those rules mean are the people on the committee, the people who pass the law. So it's really not the courts. The courts will defer it to the FTC. So if the FTC is saying operator means this, or if the FTC is saying website means this, the court will even defer to the FTC's interpretation of its own rules throughout. And it's a case. Well, it's a case called Our. They won't even review it. They wouldn't even review it based on Our. Our says they would unless it has some constitutional problems with it or something like that. But if they say this is what it means, then all effectively that's what it means.
Well, the Supreme Court didn't kill Our last term, but they did give some notes where they look like they're constraining it a lot more. So Our deference isn't quite what it used to be. So, but your point, like Chevron, Brand X, Our, all these cases that I loathe and want to die in a fire are a problem. But the term operator is actually defined in the U.S. Code too. So and it has the same definition. So
same definition.
Hypothetically, the FTC can't go beyond its statutory mandate. So that's the outer limits. So like on Chevron step 2, I can try to make some arguments here too. So like, yeah, I mean, I have some problems under Chevron, Hour, Brand X, but I don't know, it's workable.
Yeah, no, I think you have a fight, but I think, like, if I'm the FTC, I'm going to slap you with Chevron. I'm interpreting my own rule promulgated through notice and comment. Here's Hour, and that's what that's what it is. I'm and the court has no business interpreting. Now, even if you do point to, if you can point to an interpretation of the enabling statute, that the enabling statute, I can still point to, well, yeah, the enabling statute says that, but it's still, I'm interpreting my own rule, not the enabling statute. And even if you do interpret the enabling statute, then you move the Chevron, because Chevron is the interpretation of the enabling statute. So you get the Chevron deference for the enabling statute, then you get the Hour deference for interpreting your own regulation, which are both almost impossible to overcome.
Yeah, but I believe in myself, Nate.
And I'm sorry, just for the sake of the audience, I know that people are probably listening like, what the hell are they talking about, Hour, Chevron? All right, what happens is that the FTC, the way the law works in administrative law is that the FTC has really no authority unless the authority given to it by Congress. Now, Congress set forward what's called the Administrative Procedures Act. That act works with all administrative agencies. That gives them the authority to do what they do, and they have to follow the rules on how to actually pass regulation and things based on the APA. Then Congress passes what they call enabling statutes. Those are statutes, for instance, like the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. There's a law that Congress passed, the Federal Trade Commission Act. And that law gives the FTC all its power and ability to do it. Now, if the FTC interprets what their own statute says, that the court gives it deference, saying, okay, the FTC are the people best situated to understand what the statute, what their enabling statute means. So it gives it deference. We call that Chevron deference. And there's a procedure to challenge it. Usually you have to show that they were either arbitrary and capricious in interpreting their own statute. Then they'll take that statute and they'll propose rules. Now, what we're talking about, the COPPA is actually a rule promulgated through this same procedure. Now, when the FTC interprets its own rule, there's another sort of deference, and this deference is actually a higher deference called Hour deference. And the courts the courts won't overturn an agency's interpretation of its own rule, because it says that those people are the professionals and those people are best situated to understand what that rule is. So that's what we're talking about. So when we're talking about these different type of deferences, that's what we're talking about. The FTC in this case has a lot of authority because of the legal precedent saying that if they're interpreting their own rules, then they're going to have deference.
Nate is quite correct here to be cautious, and perhaps even more than cautious, because Chevron interpreting statute and Hour interpreting regulation both give the administrative agencies quite a lot of deference. And so, like, if you try to fight that, yeah, you have some issues. So that your cautionary note is well noted, and so it's going to be a problem.
But the thing is that I honestly agree with you. I think this statute can be read not to even apply to us at all. I agree with you 100%. I think a reasonable reading of it would actually makes that point. But I think right now, that issue have to be litigated. And hey, we're going to do a legal fund for Blackleaf, because he's going to fight it. He's going to fight it. So
I'm thinking about it. There's part of me that's tempted, because like there's two ways to fight this problem, right? First of all, like the FTC is probably just going to saber rattle, and like a bunch of people are going to settle. So like, yeah, I would imagine the FTC actually like going to court and like going the distance is going to be difficult. They're going to settle and stuff like that. So you can wait for the FTC to come after you. Or option B is we could go after the FTC first. So like there's a provision of code in the Administrative Procedures Act. It's 5 USC section 702, which says that a person suffering a legal wrong because of agency action or adversely affected or aggrieved by agency action is entitled to judicial review. So what I'm contemplating doing, because I have nothing better to do with my time, is I could file a lawsuit in the District Court of the District of Columbia under 5 USC 702 and say that the FTC's press conference, blah, whatever, constitutes enough adverse action. I want injunction relief, declaratory relief, and other stuff, and make my butt handed to me by the Department of Justice. But
no, you make a point,
man. It'd be fun.
Yeah, that'll be. And hey, we're going to start the legal fund. You got to start the legal fund, because this guy's gonna help us out. He's gonna make it happen, man. But
Yeah, well, if we do it, at least it gives me content because I can decide. Here's the lawsuit I filed, and here's the response. I'd be like, oh,
no, but
see you in court. No, see you in court.
but I'm going to ask you, what do you think? What do you think? Or what would your advice be to a content creator who is scared about this regulation coming down?
Well, like you, I can't give individualized legal advice.
This is not individualized legal advice. This is just like, I would say, talk to an attorney. If you're really concerned, talk to an attorney who is in your area and see if they would do it, because you really need somebody who specializes in this to go over those factors and maybe even know the land a little bit before you can just, before you delete your channel or do anything crazy like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, the other thing that is sort of interesting is that there is this idea of mixed content or mixed advertisement content. I was looking out for like the actual definition, but like there's a difference in the regulations and statutes between child-directed and mixed audience.
Yes.
So it's like, that's another thing too. So I was seeing if I could find that definition.
No, but no, I've seen that, but I don't know why YouTube is not allowing us to do the mixed audience piece. That doesn't make sense.
Presumably, if you're not directed at children, you are mixed audience. They're just not making that particularly clear. And they're not making it particularly clear for, I don't know, I'm sure very interesting reasons on they think it will impact their bottom line or they think it exposes them to liability or whatever. But,
That's crazy though, because the thing is that the mixed audience feature would definitely allow, people wouldn't have this problem. Like if you're a gaming channel and that you're doing, let's say, Minecraft or something, which your audience is mixed because of this, you don't have to worry about child-directed content because you by definition would have a mixed audience. I'm thinking, I think YouTube, and it's funny because people are saying YouTube sold out the creators. I think in this case, it seems like YouTube did sell out the creators because they could easily had fallen within this mixed audience piece, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean they went after Musically for that mixed audience thing before too, and in the previous civil penalty, which of course now is known as TikTok after the merger. Yeah, but so they've had problems with the mixed audience stuff. So what's my advice to channels out there? I mean, I guess. First of all, you can go under your analytics on YouTube and see where your audience actually is. So if you go into YouTube Studio and you go into analytics, you can see where your audience is directed. And so for example, if I do that right now on my own content, just do this on the fly. If I go to YouTube Studio, click on analytics, which is the fourth item down on my channel. You
want to share your, hold on, let me share the screen so people can
do it for you, Nate. Very exciting.
Hold on, I don't want to see people see my people, my stuff, but I'm gonna play it out. Hold on.
Can I share my screen?
I think you can. Hit share screen and I'll put it up.
Okay, great.
But don't share no personal information.
Oh joy.
Oh, I might have a kid run on camera. It might be kid directed content all of a sudden. So I have to check that box. All right. Tell me when you're ready for me to.
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Boom. Your screen is shared.
All right. So what you do here, just make sure it looks right. Yes, it does. Oh, great. All right. So what you do here is if you're interested in your own channel, so this is my channel, Uncivil Law. So you can go up here, run to the little creator tab where it says your channel, and you can see all your wonderful videos and stuff. What you do is you go over to go over to YouTube Studio, this third one down, click that. And it loads the studio. And then what you can do is click on analytics, this fourth item down from dashboard, click on analytics. And then one of the things on analytics is reach. So you click on reach. And then if you scroll down, you can see where your traffic is coming from, or audience, apologize, click on audience. If you scroll down, you can see, people that are subscribed, people that are male, female, and then you can see at the bottom here, age. So it shows in the last 28 days your age brackets. And so you're looking for 13, you're looking for people who are under the age of 13. So the best way to judge that, you can click on more, and then you can see exactly where your demographics are. And so you can see for example, I have no viewers between 13 and 17 here. So I can reasonably infer from this that I have no viewers under the age of 13. Because everyone is over that, so you can see where your demographics are. So if you're concerned with, whether or not you're directed at children or not, this is a good way to go about doing it to see whether or not you on your analytics are directed to children. And you can see, like, if you're disproportionately like young focused, if this is skewed young, then you can say, well, then maybe I should start flagging videos that way. But that's another way to do it.
Yeah.
So I'll stop sharing my screen with that.
Yeah, let me take that off. Yeah, no,
But
awesome,
that's a good way to
awesome.
see like where your targets are. And so since I have no one between 13 and 17, it's like probably not a lot of under 13-year-olds watching. So
Yeah,
like that's a good way to find out if you are targeted young. And then from there, it's like, flag it appropriately. I would take note though that apparently, like, if you indicate your channel is directed at children, you can't like undo that.
Oh wow!
If you click that flag, that's like a one-way thing. So like, if you make a mistake there, it's a problem. So, otherwise, like, is it directed to children? You have probably a pretty decent idea of what directed to children is and what isn't. Well, I mean, like, is it really animated, really cutesy, really young voices? Like, really, like, you kind of know what they're targeted at, right? But just because you use cartoon characters and young models and all the rest of it does not qualify. So that's hey,
if you guys want to check out the video I did a couple of days ago about the factors, going over the factors, because that's one thing I noticed. A lot of people are treating the factors as elements. Like, hey, if my video is animated, then it's child directed, and that's totally not the case. You have to look at all the factors and determine whether it's child directed or not. Because it's like, if you, I did Adult Swim, like I watch Adult Swim sometime, and I'm like, those cartoons are not, or The Simpsons, for instance, are not child directed. You know what I mean?
Well, I think the helpful analogy here, that something a lot of YouTube creators will be more familiar with, are the fair use factors.
Yes.
Now, fair use is still like not well understood, but it's more understood. And so, like, if you go to 17 USC 107, which lays out the four use factors, they're factors. Mm-hmm. So it's like the amount of the work, whether it's commercial or not, whether it's transformative, blah, blah, blah. And if you go read the statute and you go read the case law, you can see, well, just because you meet all of them doesn't mean it's not fair use. And just because you meet none of them doesn't mean it is fair use. But these are factors that you can use and analyze. And so this is something creators are more familiar with. It's not, just because you use a lot of the work, it's not fair use. Red Letter Media, for example, when they did their review of Star Wars, they used a lot of the original material. A lot, but in my view, it was fair use because it was transformative, because it was making commentary, it was using it for a purpose, and so like it was fair use even though it was using a lot. And so like it's a factor test. It's not just because you meet one of them you're there. So the same thing for COPPA. You've got this multi-factor test. It's one point of criticism I think I might give for your last video on the subject is you somewhat implied that if you met a majority of the criteria, it probably was, and if you met a minority of the criteria, it probably wasn't. I don't know that that's that simplistic. I think you sort of said at one point that, like, if you meet one criteria enough, if it's dominant enough, it can be enough. But it's just like looking at it and trying to make a holistic comparison. It's like, you probably have a reasonable idea of what they're talking about, when it comes to kids content. So it's like, you have a decent idea of like if you're targeting kids. Well, especially if you have kids in your own, it's like, what they're watching, what kids content is. So like, don't do that.
Well, actually, that's a good transition, because here are some examples of people who have actually been fined by YouTube. Well, creators of content. These are the apps that I actually found on YouTube. So this first example is of this is.
I look at that, I'm like, that's directed to kids, right? Probably.
Yeah. let me hold on. Let me make sure everybody else can see it too. All right. So I'm gonna play this video so you guys can see it. But we'll see if it's that's like 52 seconds. So this is from a company called LIA, and they got fined $60,000. And this is one of their apps. Yeah, this is totally directed at children. Like now it's interesting because the doom and gloom on YouTube now is, you hear every video, and I even did this in one of my videos, $42,000 fine, beware, because YouTube forces us to be a little eccentric when we talk about this stuff, but it's up to $42,000. So like even with this content that we just saw on screen now, they didn't charge them $42,000 per incident. It was $60,000 for all the cut, because what they do, they take the amount of money you made and add a multiplier to it, and then that's how they get a number from the violative conduct. So it's not $42,000 per incident. It can be, it's possible, but that's highly unlikely, based on what the FTC have done in the past and what they said they're going to do in the future.
I'm saying FTC, come at me, bro. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, for $42,000 per video, I know it's a big scary number, but that's very it's unlikely. Can it happen? Sure, but they didn't get these people for $42,000.
I don't know if they said it in a press conference or something, but they said explicitly somewhere that it was supposed to be based on like rated amount to the content you made and some sort of factor. So it's like, but like it's like, well, I don't know that they're really going to go after users anytime in the near future. I think they're going to saber rattle for a while, and like they're going to put this on YouTube. So like the bigger threat is from YouTube than from the FTC.
Yeah.
YouTube is going to do this. Now it's interesting because YouTube, like YouTube's incentives are interesting because like YouTube's incentives are to run as many ads as many places as possible.
Yes,
because that's how they get paid, and YouTube is a net loss for them because it's so expensive to run. And so it's like they are well incentivized to run as many ads in many places as they can. So it's like, does YouTube really want to like prevent ads from running on all this content? It's like, you wouldn't think their incentives would be there. So you would think they'd be doing everything to keep everyone out that category, but it looks like they're going to be using it to like constrain creators. So YouTube's incentives are a little bit interesting on this.
Well, I honestly think that that when it comes that now what's going to start happening is that this is just going to become more valuable, because now you're not going to have kids content, even though the general
you and I are getting paid. That's good for us.
Yeah, but I'm talking about for kids content. Like if you're doing kids content, I think the markets are going to adjust, because now if you can't have these targeted ads, you're still going to have people who want to advertise to children, and if you can't have targeted ads, then you're going to have to just go back to the old school model of advertising on content like this. And it's just going to bring up those CPMs for this particular content. It's just going to make it more valuable because, it won't be with all other content. So I don't think it's going to be as much as it is now for targeted ads, but I think you're still going to have a nice little market here for it.
Yeah,
because the market's going to correct.
I think my overall impression is that this is a bit more bluster and saber rattling than reality.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they are trying to instill fear, and based on the way people are recording videos, doing a pretty good job of it. A lot of people are very afraid, but I get the feeling that that's kind of intentional, that it's more fear, uncertainty, and doubt than reality. And I think that they're saber rattling, to try to put fear in people, and people hear this high number. But again, my analogy goes to the fair use factors, because like copyright infringement has statutory limits. I forget how much they are, but they're like in the six figures.
Yeah,
isn't it like $150,000 up to like $150 per violation?
Yeah, it's
infringement.
I think I'm not sure, but I know it's a lot, but it's a limit. There's a statute.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, well, like people have been using people's content without being too afraid of these like six-figure penalties for copyright infringement. So it's like, I think once people get adjusted to it, that our lives will move on in COPPA world too.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like I do criminal defense. It's like the Lori Loughlin. Like people were saying she can get up to 100 years, but it's like when you actually do the math, like when you do the sentencing guidelines, she can only get 6 months, even though technically she pled a guilty something to give her 100 years. The sentencing guidelines aren't going to give you more than 2 months. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. It's like it's a range, and she's a first-time offender and she's cooperating, so it's like, okay, well. Yeah, she got 2 weeks in jail. It's like, well, when you actually look through the elements, it seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I honestly thought if this wasn't something that was newsworthy, she would have got probation.
I think so.
Yeah, it just happened to be you had a rich woman had to suffer, and I feel sorry for poor what's the other one? Lori Loughlin. Is it Lori Loughlin from Full House? Well, she's going to get 6 months because they like trumped up all these charges that she can get like 100 years in prison.
No, a prosecutor would never trump up charges. They would never do such a thing, Nate.
No comment. So let's go to the next. So all right. So this next piece of artwork is from Retro Dreamer. Now, Retro Dreamer didn't go out of business because so the last company that we saw with the dog, they were fined $60,000. They had like 7 apps. It was crazy. They only got $60,000, so they weren't, they went bankrupt, I think, but they're not putting out these things anymore. Now we have Retro Dreamer. Now Retro Dreamer is still alive. This is the App Store actually right now, and this is their their content. Ice cream flap. This looks very kid friendly, bright.
It looks pretty cutesy, man.
And
I'm sick looking at it.
Look at here it is right here. You see their other stuff. It looks so similar. It's like the same stuff. They even got
hamburgers. It's the exact same thing 6 times.
Yeah. So let's look at some of Retro Dreamers. And it's funny, what you can find on YouTube. It's like everything is on YouTube.
For the moment.
Hold on 1 second. Okie dokie. I gotta pass clothes to babies. Hold on 1 second. Let me share this. What am I looking for? Okay.
I could do sexy dances. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Uncivil Law After Dark.
All right. Here is Retro Dreamer. Retro Dreamer. All right. So now this is a 9-minute video, but this is the game. So we can see the game. It seems like Mario to me, though.
I mean, it's Flappy Bird with ice cream.
Kids direct. Now but they admitted this was kids directed, though. So yeah, this definitely looks like it's kids directed.
I feel like I'm having insulin shock just by watching it.
But now it's interesting because I show that to say this. This is what they're looking for. They look like they're looking for the obvious stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like this is obviously kids directed. And the interesting part is this last company, Retro Dreamer, they were fined $300,000, more or less for the same amount of content. But it was shown that they were actually warned by one of the companies that they had given their app, I think, to Amazon. And one of the companies said, well, hey, this seems child directed, so we may not be able to do ads to it. And they did it anyway. So the FTC found that content to be a little bit more egregious. And that's why they added that they've got fined a lot more money. So that's the 2 examples.
I don't know where in our discussion, if at all, you want to discuss this, but as I understand, the FTC is actually going through new rulemaking as we speak.
Yes.
Because the current rules were 2013. They were supposed to do it every 10 years, but for reasons that are fairly obvious, they want to accelerate that because technology has changed so much and they're doing new rulemaking. So how are we expecting they're going to ruin our lives with the new rules in the near future? That's I guess the new question. And we have lost Nate. Nate has gone offline. So it's just Uncivil Law. Oh, Nate's back. Yay.
No, I'm right here. I had a naked baby running around. I'm like, aren't you naked baby? So, I don't want this turn to, get really struck out here. The child-directed content and problems. So I had to make sure. But no, I heard everything you said. And hold on 1 second. Let me take this off. Remove from stream. I think the StreamYard is amazing. This StreamYard is amazing stuff. It's funny because it's so much easier to work than Google Hangouts. I was like a Google Hangouts guy, and this is but now I feel like I'm getting my mojo here with this StreamYards. So at the end of the day, most creators, I'm getting so many questions, and I also got to tell people too. Listen, I cannot give you legal advice. If you ask me a question, if you're saying, Nate, my channel is this, and I cannot, and is my stuff child directed? I cannot answer that question. You have to go pay someone who's an attorney to answer that question. So, and I know it's frustrating, but I think just if you're looking at this content that we've just shown, and you look at some of the HPT examples, these are really obvious things. You know what I'm saying? These are really, really obvious things. So that's what and if you're even thinking about the way they find people, I don't think they're going to be looking for the person who got 25 subs and does a video, and they say we're gonna fine that person $42,000 for that video. That just seems great. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot. Like I think what you said is true. There's a lot of shock and awe and scare and fear, but it's just not grounded in reality. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm hoping, because like a lot of people who have been on YouTube a lot longer have seen lots of changes over the years, a lot of changes to YouTube's policies, and so like this is not like the first time this has ever happened with anything. So it's like, it's just adjusting to the new reality and trying not to panic. And I think things will be okay, and hopefully people won't freak out too much in the end.
Yeah, well, it's it's change. It's change is new. I think at the end of the day, two things happen. I think you're right. I think the whole reading the law, the whole operator, I think that could be a little problematic, but I think somebody had to challenge that in court, and I wouldn't be the one to challenge that. I think part two to that would also be the fact that YouTube, I think, is trying to protect itself. And I think, now it just comes down to, because that's really what this seems to be about. YouTube got caught with his hand in a cookie jar and just putting all the liability onto the creators. And they're trying to do that.
Made numerous statements about how we're the number one place for young children. Everyone who's under 13 comes to us. Look at all the people we have when we're young. It's not.
Did you see that in the complaint? But you know where that came from, right? They were actually trying to sell ads to Mattel toys. So in that advertising in that package they put together, they put a package together showing how, most kids who didn't even know any other website only knew YouTube. Like, it's out of all kids that were asked, all of them knew YouTube. Like, every kid knew YouTube, and every kid watched YouTube. It's like, yeah, that was a stone cold admission. And plus, also too, I think they use some of the channels like the Mother Goose Club. If you have kids, you see the Mother Goose Club, and the Mother Goose Club is something my kids watch. But even on that channel, it makes it very clear it's for children. It's this. So YouTube had actual knowledge. But now I think what they're trying to do is just say, okay, hey, we don't want to get bit again. So now it's just all going to be on the creators, and it's just scaring people up. And it's a shame, but it just was. Hey, I got a $5 super chat. Nate is the man from this guy, Uncivil Law. Thank you. I'm going to buy a beer. And Google, they took $2.50. I think they took $3 out of that or something like that. They took like some crazy amount for that $5. But thank you for the super chat. And anybody else who wants to super chat, thank you guys also. But so at the end of the day, I'm going to say this. I don't think there's really too much for now. There's some people out there who's got to be worried. Some people out there who has to be worried. They're going to be doing their sweeps. Remember, they're going to do sweeps of the YouTube platform.
Yeah, that was part of the thing where it's like, we have technology to sweep all these channels. And I'm like, That was like a lot of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt was like, yeah, we have these super advanced mechanisms to go after everyone. It reminds me of like the UK, where it's like, we have vans that can detect TVs in your house and whether or not they're running. We have TV detecting vans because the UK has television licenses. So if you don't pay a tax, you can't run a TV. So it's like, we're going to come to your house and see whether or not you're running a TV with our super detecting vans, which we've had for 50 years somehow. Like, yeah, sure you are. That's definitely technology you have.
You know who they're going after? You know who I think they're going to be going after? The Jake Pauls of the world. Because Jake Paul, he did that disastrous interview where he says, my target audience is from 8.
It's like 8 to 15-year-olds. And the FTC is like, really interested. You don't say.
And he's got 20 million subscribers. He's making millions of dollars from AdSense. And he's Google preferred. So obviously, he's number one on the list. If his stuff isn't made for kids, then he's probably going to have a problem, The way I don't think we are like PewDiePie. I think PewDiePie was even.
He can afford.
He can afford him and his brother but he knows it. If there's another YouTuber called what's this guy's name? Something nerd, like something I forget. I'm subscribed to him too. He did a great video on who Jake Paul's audience was, and this is before the whole FTC thing broke out. And he showed this guy is actually targeting kids as early as 4 years old. Like he has his merch and everything. It's crazy. And 50% of his video was selling merch. I'm like, I need to start selling some merch. Check it out.
Yeah.
Here it is, the merch.
I think you and I need to come up with some merch specifically targeted at the under 13 crowd. I think I just need to come up with some like onesies. Uncivil Law.
He has onesies. He has it all. We are not doing the right things. This is crazy. So listen, I hope we've answered some of your questions about the FTC, just so everybody understands what's going on. They're going to be conducting sweeps starting January 1st. Now, what type of sweeps? They said that we have the technology, but yeah, they don't have it. They have some people behind the computers probably looking through this content, just like and they're probably going to be going after people who it's going to be worth it. They're not going to be suing someone like me who has not enough money to make a dent, but they're going to be looking for people who could cut $1 million check. Hopefully that's what they'll be going after, but who really knows? It's the FTC. So in all fairness, I think most people don't really have anything to worry about, but I think this is nice because it's all doom and gloom, and what bleeds leads. So this is bleeding, so it's leading the conversation. I think at the end of the day, YouTube got caught. And unfortunately, now we have to suffer. But it's not as bad as you hear. Nobody's going to be fined $42,000.
Well,
per violation.
Topic du jour for quite a while. I'm sure both you and I will be filming many more videos about this.
Oh yeah.
They've seen even more stuff from Viva. So but yeah, it's like, and as you point out at the top of the stream, it's like if you and I are having a debate about whether or not this applies to operators, it's like everyone else is host, because who are they supposed to believe? It's like, yeah, Larry looked at us, I looked at us, we came to one conclusion, you've looked at it, come to another conclusion. There's that other lawyer who said, well, yes, third conclusion inside YouTube are contacting him and blah blah blah.
Do you believe that though? A secret person from YouTube contacts this one guy.
Yeah. He's a fellow attorney. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He wouldn't mislead us.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm just I don't know.
Like, I'm a social media lawyer, and so they're totally coming after you. So he seems to think we're all hosed. So it's like, well, if the lawyers are debating it, it's like, yeah, well, who knows?
Well, the two things that I will say though is, number one, who interprets this rule and who has the legal authority to interpret this rule, just to be clear, and the case law who says that they can interpret the rule is the FTC. So even though we may have a disagreement, if the FTC says that means that operator means this group of people, then we kind of have to deal with that unless somebody's going to challenge their interpretation in court as what's it called? I forgot the term they use. Arbitrary and capricious. Yeah, because that's what it's going to be. So even though we do agree, if the FTC says it is, then there's a problem here, and I think people should be aware of it. So it's just the way the law is right now in the United States. Let me see.
I really feel like the best chance is probably to go on the offensive rather than waiting for them, because like,
I think you're right.
If you're on the defensive, like they're coming after you because you target kids and stuff, it's like you already have the emotional factor of like, you've been, it's basically you're the defendant, and like, as a former prosecutor, like you point to the defendant, he's like sitting in that chair. It's like you're already part of the way home.
Oh yeah,
it's like you're already part of the way home. So it's
every
like,
witness.
Why not put the FTC in that chair? Make their lives more difficult. It's like make them the bad guy. So it's like I figure the best odds are probably by going on the offensive. So like I'm thinking about it. I'm like, the district court's not that far from my house. I can just go stroll over there, file some paperwork. $400. Let's go.
But I think you get a huge, because you'll have a whole bunch of people sign on it that because this but again, I don't know if it's a winnable case though. I'm just hoping it doesn't. It'll be tough.
I have doubts. I have many doubts.
It's tough. Yeah. Well, hey, if you need some help, I can read Hour again, but hopefully it won't be as fatal as I think. I think Hours will kill it for you. So listen, guys. We have been at this for about an hour and 10 minutes. Sorry if I didn't get to all your questions, but we can only but say so much because it's got to be legally responsible here. And this was meant to be a little bit informative, so you can guys kind of see how we're thinking, and how, hey, listen, if you're having problems with this, we're having problems with this, and it's okay. And I think you'll be okay. But I think right now what people need to do is fact number one, and tell me if you agree. Number one, this thing is poorly written and it's really confusing. And even us as attorneys are having problems with this. Number two is that $42,000 per video is an extreme measure and is very unlike, even in the cases that we've seen before. I've not seen them fine people $42,000 per violation. That's the max that possibly can happen. There's a way they do it. So that's really, so don't let people scare you up with that. And last but not least, just err on the side of caution. you've seen what they've decided is kids content. You know, if you're not putting stuff up like this, you know, then I think you'll be. Well, I can't say you'll be okay, but I think you have less to worry about than if you're putting, you know, than if you're doing.
There is the old saying. It's like you don't have to be the fastest gazelle. You just have to be faster than the slowest one. So like, don't be the easiest target, and it'll probably be okay.
Yeah.
So don't produce ice cream Flappy Birds as your YouTube videos. It'd be if you're getting sugar shock from the content you're uploading because it's so sweet, you probably should be flagging it as child content. That's probably if your content looks like this,
yeah,
it's probably directed at children. Just, you know.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a whole lot of legal analysis. It's like, well, let me go through the 10-part test, where it's like, let me take one look at it and be like, yep, we're done.
Yeah. If you're putting stuff up like this, then I think you got a problem. So, well, listen. Do you have any final words for the fans out there? First, link in the description to my man Uncivil Law's channel. This is my man Blackleaf. Please click on that. Get him a subscribe. He's got some great stuff. He's always reading cases. It's funny because I love the way you read the cases, and I don't know how you do it, but I'm like, when I'm listening, like I was listening to you the other day. I forgot what you were reading, and I was just like so entrenched in you. It's like I was like so entrenched in. I'm like, damn, I've been listening to this thing for like an hour. This guy's fucking got me entrenched with this thing. So
excellent. I'm making progress, man. I'll do it more CLE style. Hello, this is Uncivil Law, and I'd like to welcome you to today's CLE about the Supreme Court. Today we'll be covering Chevron, and it will be super exciting. And welcome for the next hour as I talk a lot like this.
See, for you to don't know, CLEs are continuing legal education, and we as lawyers have to take a certain amount of hours every 2 years so we can get our license again. And he's right. It is the worst. You're right. It is the worst. I'm sorry. It's just the worst. So, okay. So last but not least, channel updates. I'll be this Saturday. I'm doing something with Viva Free. We're going to be answering questions about COPPA because COPPA is the firestorm of the insanity of today. So I'm going to be doing another video on these particular two cases. So I'm going to read through these two cases so you guys can see. I'm reading through the complaint, and I'm also going to read through the settlement. So you guys can see, why they settled this, and what the FTC says. And this is just all so we can all have just as much information as possible. Again, there's a fear campaign going out there, and it's fear for views. And I got wrapped up in it. My old video from like 2 months ago, it got like blew up all of a sudden. But that video was, way in the back, and before this thing actually blew up like it did now. So, right now, I think calm, and I think people just need to understand, realistically, it's not as bad as people are making it out to be, but it's great. It's like, again, if it bleeds, it leads, and this is bleeding. It's actually not bleeding. It's hemorrhaging right now, but hopefully it'll be less. So listen, any last words? Because I'm going to give you last words.
I've been doing a lot of fun as always. My man, Nate, is the greatest. If you have not already liked, subscribe to his channel, please like and subscribe to his channel because he is a man, a scholar, worthy of your attention, and hopefully becoming my friend. I like Nate very much, so please check his stuff out.
This guy, I do consider this guy. What I was watching, and I hope this isn't offend anybody, but it's funny. I was watching old Saturday Night Live clips, and I was watching Ebony and Ivory, and my wife was like, "Oh, this is like Ebony." I'm like, "Oh my god, babe, really? Ebony and Ivory?" I was like, but it's so funny, and what's so bad nowadays is because
which one am I?
Ebony. No, it's funny because I was watching. It's like now anything I watched from like back before 2010, it's like I feel so like cringe watching it because like it's like things that happened back then, if they would have happened like today, would be like so it's like people lose their job over it. It's just like now I can't nothing I could find funny back in the 80s.
We could talk about cancel culture, but that's another video for another time, man. We don't have time for that.
You don't know. I'm ending this video, but I'm ending it on my final thought. Why can't I watch Thundercats anymore? All right, guys. Listen, as always, leave comments below. Let me know what you think. And please subscribe to my man, Blackleaf, Uncivil Law, Nate Brody. We're going to get out of here. We'll talk to you guys soon. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Peace.
Peace.